again. You're almost into ByuL versus aLive. They're in the lobby, just waiting for everyone to A-OK. Thank you to Phoenix42 for the 14-month resub. And then they put something in white, so that really fucks with better Twitch TV. Numbers are hard, so is font.
Well, I'm trying to force a happy attitude here, guys, but I'm not gonna lie, I just had my heart broken pretty bad. I'm just trying to tell ByuL how much I like him, and he's shooting me down here in the lobby. Feels bad, man. Well, yeah, that's why I said vice president.
It's just like, I don't understand.
For those who don't know, by the way, I was complimenting ByuL. I said, "Hey, dude, like I really like #1 Zerg fan here, like #1 Zerg in Korea, blah blah blah." He says, "No, not really." So I said, "Well, you're #1 Zerg in my heart." And Koreans do this thing where they'll type like ZZ, but it's supposed to be like laughter, I guess, or something. Not really like you know, like I'm unimpressed with what you're saying. But that's how it always looks to me, right? So he's like, ZZ, thank you. I'm like, oh.
Oh, I was actually...
He's patronizing me.
I wonder, why is it laughing? Hold on here. Korean keyboard.
Well, anyways, for those who don't know, Scarlett's actually a pretty big advocate for ByuL and his playstyles too. So I was like, I'll be the I'll make the ByuL fan club, and Scarlett will be the vice president.
It does make sense. It's the k letter. So that is laughing. Good job.
Turns out I've been paying attention all these years.
Hell yeah. Way to go, man. Okay, in the bottom left of this brand new best of 3 TvZ, it is the Blue Terran aLive.
And his opponent, bottom right, quite the good Zerg player, in my opinion. At least it is ByuL.
Clearly, I just missed an opportunity to tell aLive that he's my #1 Terran and give him hearts.
Yeah, you should have been flirting with him while I was flirting with ByuL, you dummy. Ask him to be your Valentine's. aLive, of course, is not your opponent recently, learning some cool stuff about him. He's been streaming on Keen's channel on Twitch for whatever reason, but I guess that's like tattoos and other things. Like, just really surprising me to learn about. Not that, like, I don't find tattoos that surprising. I love tattoos. It's just like aLive, when you look at him, he doesn't look like the type of dude that would have a tattoo.
Yeah, plus any Korean is just a surprise for me. Like, it is not
the culture
popular.
thing.
And it is kind of in an obvious place. Again, he could have just written on his arm and I would not know the difference of the webcam, right? But it is cool. It makes me like rethink, you know, like sure he kind of has like the glasses and the haircut and just like, you know, he doesn't really have any like edge to him because he doesn't know enough English to have any edge that we would notice. But maybe he's this really awesome dude who like rides a motorcycle. That's not a thing in Korea, actually. I don't think I ever saw a motorcycle in Korea. I saw a lot of mopeds, which are quite the same thing. I don't think I ever saw like a Harley Davidson like roll around. That would have been a sight. Would have been loud. And it's a TvZ, so no one base builds here. In fact, I guess a little more emphasis there. No one base opener from ByuL. He did go for the hatch into pool. Just not a lot of Terrans are going for the 3 racks anymore on Newkirk. If anything, they're saving it for honor grounds.
That map.
Yeah.
Well, I'm curious though. We've actually been seeing some mech play here and there, and aLive really does have it in him to possibly whip it out. But at the same time, I think standard bio has proven to be very good for him in results in this matchup. So I really don't know which direction he wants to take it.
Yeah, he played mech versus Breaking, and then Keen, his partner in crime, I guess, went mech against True twice. So it's possible that they were trying to experiment there.
I would love, by the way, so we assume that this is like a partner in crime, like good friends situation, because they share a Twitch channel and like they play a lot of the same stuff. But I would love if this was actually like totally the opposite. Like, Eliza's like, look, you owe me a lot of money, okay? You can't give me money. You give me your Twitch channel. So, like, I'm taking this from you.
I'm gonna take all $5.
He points to his tattoo. He's like, I'm a badass, you see, so don't mess with me.
Yeah,
I'm serious
see?
right now.
Yeah, that's absolutely what it is. Took over his Twitter account too. It's mine. Totally worth.
Well, Fast Overlord speed's gonna be nice for scouting, but also possibly for drops, like with an asterisk later.
Do you want to talk about this, or should I talk about this?
Oh, the double fact. I mean, so this is actually something we used to see a lot, like innovation and beyond, and a lot of people do on the 4-player maps. I'm not actually convinced this is so great for 2-player maps, but double factories are going to lead towards cyclones and hellions, and this can be a really abusive and a really tough, frankly, attack to hold off. But ByuL scouts this immediately, and that's huge, and that goes right back to that speed overlord. Maybe it got pushed off by Marines if it didn't have speed. Maybe it did or didn't. Doesn't matter. Point is, he saw this. He now knows what's coming, and he's making roaches. And to be honest, cyclones can actually not necessarily dominate roaches unless they get early +1 weapons, but that's not what you're going for with this build. You're going for hellbats, you're going for cyclones, you're just trying to get units out in the field. And this for aLive, if it doesn't do enough damage, can just absolutely be the all-in that costs you the game. But usually this does enough damage that you can at least macro out of it. If you don't win the game straight up.
It's a difficult build because it has 2 counters to 2 counters, so you need a mixture as a Zerg player to deal with this. But ByuL doesn't really have anything at all. Like,
no,
what
the
is going
time
on
the
here?
roaches is off. The Hellions, well, the Zerglings are trying to buy some time in the middle of the map. That's kind of cute to see, but aLive's not wasting time to stop an attack. Roaches are on deck, but it's only 2 queens for the time being, and this doesn't look good for ByuL.
No, 6 roaches are on the way out, and there are only 2 cyclones, so the roaches will probably take care of this, but this is really weird.
This isn't a new build that's come out of nowhere. This has been a build that's actually fallen out of favor, I would even say, to most Terran. As you see the roaches pop out, they start cleaning up the hellbats. Hellbats are a lot easier to deal with than said cyclones, and there's just not enough cyclones to cause huge imminent threats. But all that +1 weapon starts up behind this, and aLive, keeping the cyclones alive is huge. Because if you guys haven't watched A, Nathanias' stream, or B, tried this yourself, +1 cyclones melt roaches. Like, it's actually so stupid the difference +1 weapons make.
Hellions ends up at the 3rd base. They were looking and hoping for drones. That's nothing we really found there. Barracks even getting pushed off, sure. And there is that +1 on the way already. There's the +1.
Yeah, so I really think that there's... This obviously wasn't enough damage done out of aLive to give away what he did, but the fact that he kept the cyclones alive means he's going to have an insanely powerful follow-up push. And if ByuL, if he plays even a little bit greedy, like... I would almost argue right now, like, he shouldn't even be droning, right? Like, there's such a big attack coming up next.
Overseer surprisingly gets demolished. It's just enough cyclones to do that. Yeah, I mean, ByuL needs to be at a decent drone count, so going up to something like 52, 55 is, I think, a necessity, even if their push is incoming, just because you're going to need more production after the push, but maybe not go very much beyond that, because he should have seen there's still no 3rd command center, so yeah, like, it should confirm there's, like, a really big push.
It is really important that there's links with this. If he's just going to go with just roaches, he's going to have a really bad time. And, like, well, that might seem counterintuitive because there are hellbats. Having links controlled on the backside and getting on top of the cyclones while the hellbats push forward, cyclones actually don't deal with lings so well. They'll kill them quickly, but it takes time and it's really annoying because they don't take the bonus damage. But aLive's pulling SCVs with this for some repair action. Oh my god, I'm actually going crazy over here. I love this.
He pulls SCVs, it still takes a 3rd command center. That's so weird.
This is so counterintuitive, it makes no sense, but alright, the +1 weapons is done. The cyclones deal 6 damage a shot every 0.1 seconds.
Please stop repairing the barracks.
He's on auto repair, so that's kind of annoying, sure, but as you can see, he's dodges some of the Corsair battles. The hellbats are doing whatever. They're really not that important of a factor to the fight. The SCVs buffer for this as well. The roaches are getting absolutely annihilated. Queens don't have enough transfuses to keep this alive, but the Ravagers aren't armored units, so funny enough, Ravagers are way better in this situation.
ByuL just had enough straight up. Like, he knew what was incoming. He got to a decent drone count and then had enough production to barely work out. If he had gone to 65 or, God forbid, 70 drones or just missed his larva injects a couple of times, he would not have had enough.
But I just want to point out, this still isn't over. With 4 cyclones being produced at a time, do keep in mind, aLive threw away a lot, but that was like 25 roaches for 7 cyclones.
That's true, but I think ByuL's just glad he dealt with it, so the income advantage just spikes so flipping hard.
I mean, he pulled how many SCVs with that? Like 15?
Yeah.
3rd CC finishes up. I mean, I gotta be honest, I think aLive is expecting this game to end. I really don't know or follow his logic with a 3rd CC, because the attack he was doing just now with a fast +1 was really meant to demolish his opponent. But that's, again, I want to point out the importance of the Ravagers there. We watched and witnessed how fast the roaches died in that fight. If all the roaches had melted even quicker or there'd been a little bit less production, Ravagers still would have held their own against Cyclones because they're not armored units.
Okay, we'll take an overseer. Fine. So waiting for these lings to be used.
Holy fuck!
What?
I'm sorry, we need to address this. Prognosticator just put $500 into the mega tournament fundraiser.
That's a lot of money.
Anyone know where I parked my car? Marcos threw in $20 too. I don't want to underappreciate that, but $500 fucking dollars puts us at $6,000 raised. Another milestone that we can't budget time-wise for the AMA.
Thank you.
We'll talk more about that after, but a lot of links on top of these SCVs. This is definitely troubles for aLive. Middle of the map, he's getting attacked, he's getting surrounded. Looks like the Cyclones are doing what they can against the Roaches, but the Ravagers are just a little too much. And aLive's gonna have to tap out. GG.
Well, that was certainly an interesting game, and all in that you don't see too often. That should have surprised ByuL, but ByuL actually had a really good answer to it.
He did, and he responded exactly the way he needed to. But I'm gonna try putting my camera on for a moment. It's gonna be low FPS and garbage for sure. Oh, it's black. Why is that not working? Because I want to blow Prognosticator a kiss, man. You need to support how cringy this will be, Zombie Girl. Okay, is the camera up?
Yeah, it's up.
Prognosticator, baby. Thank you so much for that amazing level of support. That's crazy, dude. You know, he didn't even say anything in chat. He just did it. Like, if I didn't happen to catch Tom linking that and see, like, wait, 6,000, how did that happen? I wouldn't have noticed.
So when you can't make your image bigger. Oh, well. Yeah, that's really generous. Thank you so much.
Also, as a side note to that, thank you, Tom. Tom has actually been really, like, he's been, like, almost borderline spamming that, but he's been regularly advertised in the Match Arena link in chat. So appreciate that a lot, Tom. Thank you for your help, as well as your own contributions. But also, I should note that puts Prognosticator at the top donator spot by, like, $200. So at this rate, he's going to get to name the house Chia Pet.
Yeah!
Yeah!
What a good use.
And all right, we're getting into game number 2, folks. Proxima Station, aLive versus ByuL.
Correct. aLive could try a mech build again here, but if it's anything like Keen's game plan, he chooses Proxima in the second game and then just goes Bio.
Well, I do want to talk about the mech aspect, but let's do these intros first. So, kicking off game number 2 in the top right side of the map. He's down a game. Ladies and gentlemen, it's aLive.
In the bottom left is the blue Zerg. He is ByuL.
I really, truly think mech is viable, but to a degree. And I think one of the problems is, and like chat's talking about like mech being impossible to pull off and blah, blah, blah. aLive did a style of mech that was strong for like a week because Zerg players had no idea what to do with it. But then they all kind of figured it out as Innovation and many others kept using it more and more frequently in tournaments and ladder play. Like, if you guys were actually watching Innovation when he first started streaming, he was almost exclusively playing mech all the time, always. But that particular build, because it got scouted so early, was very easy for ByuL to take the steps necessary to prevent that from getting out of hand. If that wasn't scouted, we would have actually seen aLive most likely run away with that game. So part of that is, like, maybe he could have hit that better. Maybe he could have put the second factory way in the back. I don't know. But mech is totally viable, and mech has won games here on this stream against really good pros, not random, like, low league players. So it's not that mech isn't viable. Mech wasn't viable in that game, and a lot of it had to do with being scouted right off the bat.
If this was 2 months ago, I don't think you have to scout aLive much at all, to be honest. I mean, occasionally there's a factory opener, sure, but it's still bio, that's the point. But ByuL not only got this Overseer in, no, it was an Overlord, actually. He got the Overlord in the first time, saw a double factory, saw the incoming push, barely enough to defend it. He also got the Overseer in the second time, saw that it was still no third CC, and knew the all-in was coming as well. I think otherwise, a while ago, you just would not believe aLive had it in him to do that. He's always been a bio player. Innovation was the one that was experimenting. And he is going into bio here on Proxima. Second barracks is on the way. No reactor yet, though. That's kind of weird. Okay, there we go. And then supply depot, alright. We have Eclipse coming in. Great. Good job, guys.
I'm glad that that's a feature right now. Not.
It's a beautiful little kiss. Mwah.
Actually, it's funny you think about like the whole like saying something and then following with not was kind of like the original meme, right? Like that was
Yes.
hilarious. Not.
It's all the Valentine he needs. Look at that. He just made a man's Valentine.
I'll be at the streamer meetup with you in Spirit BB. Oh yeah, there's the Vancouver Twitch meetup coming up in like 5 days from now or something. I don't actually know. It's the weekend. I don't know which day. I'll have to go look it up. I'll definitely be going though. So if you guys are in Vancouver, I hope you'll stop by and we can have some drinks.
Hopefully it's not Sunday.
It's always late at night. I don't think we have a problem.
Well, the North American thing is on Sunday. Although I guess for you it's really not that late.
Well, we also have that other
Bastard.
thing where we might not be casting that one, if you recall.
Oh, is that this weekend? Oh, that is this weekend. Okay, yeah, you're right. Anyway, I was just thinking about it because I have my own plans for this weekend. I'm gonna go to Katsucon on Friday.
Katsukan!
Katsucon, where I'm gonna find my OTP. Kawaii. Oh
Did you just shudder? Is that what I just heard?
god.
Embrace
yes.
it, Zombie Grub. Be a weeb.
No, no, no.
We can
Yeah,
watch hentai together. Nope, never
No,
mind.
nope, 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 nope.
I mean, I do like watching Zerg.
Make that yaoi and oh, nope, nope, nope.
What's yaoi? I've never heard of that.
It's the opposite of Yuri, a Russian man.
Eh.
Anyways, okay, enough of this, enough of that. Starport's on the way, Sim's on the way, all the good jazz. Looks like we're normal 2-1-1, and ByuL is going again for roaches. There's my cat taking over my arm. Here, there we go. It looks like, well, funnily enough, ByuL didn't quite see the build. He just saw a factory and a starport, but the timing of the factory should have been evident that there was another barracks somewhere. So he might just be playing roaches against Bio. No trickery, just the way he wants to play. You know, no one really works that hard for their Partoofs. There's nothing that we can do to make them, like, go to work on, like, the chain gang, right? You just gotta sit back and watch. I mentioned it because someone says I worked hard for my Partoofs, and I'm like, did you?
I mean,
Really hard betting on people?
if you don't like the casters, you endure the cast. You could argue.
Just meet the stream, man. Easy peasy,
All
lemon
right.
squeezy.
Alive coming across the map, but again, like, just reiterating, no mech this game, playing it safe, playing it smart. Gonna be dropping here too.
Way outside of the creep, so no chance the queen's finding him.
Real humble message from Prognosticator, by the way. Thanks for the cheers, everyone. But the real winner is if we reach the mega funding goal, is all of us. You're all champions among mortals for being here. And he's not wrong with that. Like, if we do reach the fundraiser goal, you guys are gonna get a really fucking awesome tournament that I cannot wait to throw.
It'll be pretty cool. So we have +1 Carapace on the way for ByuL, but even that's a little bit behind that of aLive's upgrades. Combat Shields isn't done, but he takes on the roaches anyways, and ByuL wasn't expecting this. He doesn't have a lot of queens to target for the medevacs either to deter something like that, and the Lings to come back in an emergency to deal with it. So not too bad. It was fairly effective. Marines for roaches, and he manages to save a full medevac Marines, so continued pressure. Important to keep up. Infestation bit already on the way for ByuL though, so it could be very fast Infestors, very fast Hive, either one. Both, maybe, if he was greedy.
Gets a couple of tumors on that front line,
Nicely
pretty
done.
easy. Nice pickoffs, he's gonna pick up. Oh, barely doesn't get that last one. That's kind of annoying.
He really wants it too, like he thought about dropping a Marine for it. Another medevac goes to the south, will barely be seen by that Overlord, but would have been seen about the second one anyway. Lynx can go respond to that. Oh, there's already stuff here to respond to it. Never mind. So it's gonna do absolutely nothing, unless it goes to the natural! Haha, trickery!
See?
No!
Well,
Clever.
unfortunately, the spore callers here are not quite done yet, so it's just gonna be the queen to push this off. But it looks like the Widow Mine.
Oh no, he targeted
You-
the drone. Not bad.
I would have actually liked if that hit the Lings, to be honest. 5 drone kills is great though, so it's not like nitpicking, but killing those Lings would have let the Marines get back in there.
Yeah. Yeah. Either one. Drop's still trying to clear up whatever creep it can, and this is, this good double-pronged harassment. It's done enough damage already, I think, and it's still alive, so that's pretty damn good. aLive takes his third base, a bunker in case ByuL was going for something, more aggressive, like massing roaches. Because aLive still hasn't seen the majority of the army, Or he might think he hasn't, because there hasn't been a lot on the front lines, but really he has. It's just that ByuL's going for something very greedy. And aLive has yet to scout the 4th, just scouts it now. He hasn't scouted the hive on the way. He did scout the infestation pit, though.
Someone in chat wants to know if I've asked ZombieGrub to be my Valentine's yet. ZombieGrub, would you be my valet for my car? Don't scratch it, I just had it washed.
It's 40 bucks.
That's expensive, yo. That's
What?
not cheap parking.
For a valet? Like, of course, it's gonna be like $30 to $40, man.
We need like an Uber for valets then. I'm not paying that. Are you kidding me?
Uber for valets? So what, they park their car to go park yours?
Actually, I think I saw an idea like that on Dragon's Den or something. Somebody, it is literally like you call someone to valet your car.
That's dumb.
Okay, so Creep Spread's I
Whoa.
gotta say for ByuL, Creep Spread's looking
Whoa.
fantastic down the middle of the map.
He's got 3 factories now. Whoa.
Also, is this really aLive playing? Look at that SimCity. What?
It's still better than Keen's was.
Judgy. But yeah, the factory swap up is weird here. I don't know if this is like, okay, so like you could argue there was a style once upon a time. MMA was a really good advocate of this, where you do like this mech bio blend. But I'm not convinced like that's necessarily going to pay off here. It's so expensive, and aLive doesn't really have the money to support, like, say, 3 tank production.
Fantasy tried doing bio in a mech, and even at one point maybe mech in a bio, I don't remember. Because that's what you did in Brood War for a long time. But that didn't even really work. And that was like a very, very long time ago in a very different game. So I'm not saying this is that, but I agree with your points that this is just maybe a bit too much. Because this is not just 2 more tech labs. This is also a second starport. That's a lot of gas units at the very least.
Yeah, and I mean, like, if this had been reactors, you're talking about, like, maybe he wants to just use mineral dumps and hellbats or something. Like, I could actually kind of see that in a weird world, but maybe, just maybe, we're at this point where Terran's so fed up with dealing with ultras that massive amounts of tanks unupgraded are better than going for pure marines.
I love tanks, you know. I love a second factory to pump out 2 tanks at a time, but
I mean,
yeah,
I
he's
look
got
at
the
those 3
turtle.
factories. Actually, Cyclone. Oh, that's gonna be really interesting, actually. But I look at those 3 factories, and all I'm just like is like Vipers, lol. That's all I like. I mean, that's my only response to it. But I will say, Cyclones, I don't actually think are gonna be so great versus Ultras. While they do have an incredibly high and fast damage point, they don't hit for much. So Chitinous Plating's still not gonna take much damage from them.
yeah, I feel like that was a mistake, almost like a Reaper for factories. Like, whoops, I was my hand slipped. This is going to be a planetary, but it's not quite ready yet. Protecting this base, so I guess he doesn't mind lifting that base as long as the SCVs don't die. And he's going into turtle mode, man. Like, he has just been like, you know, F you, expecting me to push with 2-2.
I like this. So, like, by the way, like, we saw a really good set of games out of aLive in the GSL, obviously, versus Zerg, and of course that series versus Scarlet, but I love that this is like some weird experimentation. Liberator range, tanks, plenty. Like, I don't know if they can justify paying for this, but it's gonna be really cool if he makes this work. Catches a lot of SCVs squiggling off to the side here. Planetary's not quite done yet. Burrows some of the roaches too, so forces out a scan on top of all of this. Really annoying to deal with it.
aLive is on his way to... No, he's not. Just kidding. He is not on his way to 3-3. He should start that. A little less emphasis on the tanks, a little more on the upgrades, or maybe that's on purpose.
I don't actually agree with that, right? Like, I would actually rather see that money go towards tanks. You consider, like, 3-3 bio is still going to do, like, very little to ultras, whereas 4 extra tanks heading for, like, 75, 80 a shot, depending on upgrades, like, I don't know. Like, I've never seen this style done in this way to say that upgrades are better, but he is upgrading the mech. He's producing 3 tanks at a time.
Okay. Here's the thing, though. Like, if he's not going to upgrade his bio, then he should be upgrading his mech and sky a lot more. So that's what I was going to bring up, is that he hasn't...
Okay, yeah, I agree with that.
He hasn't done it. So second armory comes down. I agree with that choice, but he is also adding on 3-3, so whatever. We're all wrong. We're all right, whatever you want to look at it.
So, I love this, though. This is so out of bounds of what is normal, and that's what I love to fucking see in StarCraft.
This Liberator harassment's really good, by the way. aLive has taken quite the leap in income because of it. But I was going to bring up upgrades because I saw ByuL's upgrades are pretty good. And then I just realized aLive's wasn't. But ByuL has +2 Carapace on the way. He has Adrenal Glands already finished. He didn't ever bother upgrading his roaches, which is kind of funny because they were his mid-game. But nothing happened in the mid-game, so it wasn't, you know, a big deal. I think he already has 1 Spire, so another Spire is going to be for upgrades. aLive's going for 2 more command centers. This is the longest Proxima Station game we're going to see. And this map is supposed to be a long game. But the most I've seen it go to is 4 bases.
The length of the map doesn't actually change from game to game.
I don't know what I said for you to be all technical and shit, so I don't care.
Yeah, like this isn't even a good enough joke, Rifkin, for me to get interested. But okay, so let's actually talk about this problem that's coming into the equation, right? Like, okay, maybe massive amounts of tanks. Oh, this is gonna suck. There's even ultras in the backside here with these awkward ass drops. But I was gonna say maybe massive amount of tanks are a great way to deal with ultras on the front lines. What they're not good at dealing with those brood lords, and with a spire, second spire on the way, I gotta imagine a greater spire's on deck. Although, where are all those tanks right now? Where are all the Liberators? He's got 12 tanks, but the Ultra's just gonna walk into this base, and the Planetary, well, looks like the Liberators will clean this up.
Oh, that might not be worth anymore. Like, aLive has 2 extra command centers, but you know what? He killed 25 SCVs in the natural. These Ultras aren't being taken care of because Bio sucks. And the army was taken out. The Overlords aren't being cleaned up, so this is gonna happen again in the future. And this is the most effective Ultra drops I've ever seen. Usually they suck.
Ultra drops, so like whatever. Like I'm just sitting here like WTF because the Ultras.
Yeah, his tanks are just like, we're mech now, we're not moving.
But so okay, 5.
Whoa.
5 by. Whoa!
Yeah.
That donation. Phoenix 42, $100 says make StarCraft 2 tournaments great again. The generosity tonight, Jesus! That $100 is also going towards the tournament fundraiser. So thank you very much, Phoenix 42. You are an absolute baller. Between you and Prognosticator, that's $700 tonight for the tournament. Well, actually, 600 because I can do math.
Good job, buddy.
Thank you so much. But I was gonna say 5 Vipers are on the way. Greater Spire starts up. As crazy and cool and different as aLive is playing, I feel like ByuL is still just kind of like, well, Terran, I'm just gonna make counters. Like,
yeah, right. Like this has not worked out. I think as aLive was hoping. He was probably thinking that ByuL would get frustrated and like maybe just move into this little thing going on right here, and ByuL just never even thought about doing it.
I look at this, right, and blinding clouds are kind of what makes me scoff and laugh out loud. Because I balance wine, guys. I'm not going to pretend like it. I fucking hate Vipers. But that being said, it's not even the blinding clouds. I look at the abducts to grab the Liberators. I look at the abducts to grab the tanks. I mean, there's so many ways that these Vipers are going to pay off in this game. Not to mention the fact that, yeah, eventually Broodlords are going to come out too. But there's 5 Vikings coming out. I think the Vikings, more than anything else, are not so focused on anti-air as much as they are the anti-overlords. These drops have been getting kind of out of hand.
And the Liberators aren't dealing fast enough damage to them. The Broodlords are also on the way. aLive, okay, so here's my problem with the way that aLive is played. I think it's kind of cool to go into turtle mode, but I think that's totally possible to do without going 3 factories, 2 starports, like a dozen command centers. I think eventually if you get Bio Ghost Viking, like that's a really good composition without having to dedicate to tanks. So now that he has Ghost on the way, I feel a lot better about his composition, because until I saw the Ghost Academy, I was like, this isn't working. This is gonna get like broodlorded, or it's gonna get outmaneuvered or something.
You know, we haven't seen Ghosts in this matchup for so long, but I love snipes, and they're not something that require a lot of upgrades.
Yeah, I think Ghosts are the better addition than anything else we've seen in this game, including like the double upgrades or the amount of tanks. And we do finally have another armory on the way, but he's back to researching for his vehicle in air. Ravagers are cleaned up. ByuL still is expanding, but aLive did combat him basically in the income. It's been up and down for both players here. ByuL never really like out-expanded and dominated, but he's been kind of conservative on his drone count, really, considering the circumstances. Once you identify the Terran's turtling, whether it's because it's mech or turtle bio, you can go for like 80 drones, 6 bases, 7 bases, and just try and get the biggest bank possible. But ByuL didn't really do that. He has been taking really effective trades, so he still has a decent bank. I mean, look at the resources lost, and you're like, how is it decent when he's at even? But keep in mind, at this point in time, Zerg is usually like 5,000 resources in the loss.
I hate when ultras burrow.
Or 10,000.
Because they just leave craters in the ground. It's like, can't see me if I can't see you.
Yeah, it's the derpy ultralisk. Yeah, 10,000, 15,000, like something around there, but it's really not that bad.
Yeah, I'm actually, again, this has been such a wild and crazy TvZ. I would love if every TvZ looked like this, but you guys are witnessing like a really true one-of-a-kind matchup. Now, there's a lot of Vikings in the sky. That's going to help deal with the Broodlords. We're going to be on like seriously 12 to 15 Vikings. That's fantastic in terms of numbers. The Ghosts, though, are really going to make this interesting because I think the Ghosts are going to be better for sniping Corruptors than they are necessarily the Broodlords.
You know, his
the problem is
ship weapons aren't that upgraded.
Oh, EMPs. Oh, I
bad
love
idea.
those EMPs. That takes out the energy from a lot of the Vipers. More EMPs going to go down. Well, those Vipers can go home and consume energy faster than the Ghosts can generate for EMPs. Again, balance one here for a second, but no, that's the strength of the unit, right? And as more energy comes into play, these Ghosts are going to have a harder time actually finding usefulness because it takes so much to drop an EMP.
Yeah. There's the evolution chambers he was missing for the Vipers. I was wondering if he still had his infestors. They're just hidden and burrowed, which is pretty cool. And the upgrades, something else I was taking a look at. So aLive got kind of stifled on his upgrades, losing that second armory like he did. So his air isn't that impressive, but it's like on the way. ByuL is matching.
Look at the unit stat, by the way. This composition out of both is insane to look at.
Yeah.
You've got Ravens, Ghosts, Tanks, and Liberators with a lot of bio. Then on the third side, you got Broodlords, you got 20 Corruptors, you got an Ultra, Infestors, 8 Viper. Like, this is going to be such a sick fight.
ByuL does not know about the bottom right, and that's pretty unfortunate. As the game goes on, especially in like huge maps like this, 20 Lings ends up being the best friend of any Zerg, I feel. Like, sure, they can't take on a Terran that has 5 or 6 bases and fuck planetaries and all that, but then, like, Terrans start lifting orbitals to try and take bases, or they try and make planetaries on site, and suddenly 20 Lings, especially well upgraded, just ruin that plan. But ByuL hasn't quite done that yet, and is just letting aLive expand. Locations he really should not be able to.
All of these turrets, by the way, they're not going to be proven too effective to shoot Broodlords or anything, but what it does do is keep the Corruptors from easily diving in.
Oh, lordy. Oh, whoa, on the
Seeker missiles going down on top of the Infestors. Whoa, they actually hit!
Yeah, one of them does. Nice.
He's also sniping off the Broodlords. Oh, these Vikings are being controlled so well. There's no Infestors, fungal growth. There's no parasitic bombs. So right now, he's getting away with 16 Vikings clumped up. This is not something he should be able to get away with, though.
Right. This is kind of an awkward situation, too. Like, if the Zergs really went out on the air war, this is great over the ridge here, but if the Terran is, then it's like a little more questionable, right? Command Center looks like it will have to be lifted, though, so this is a success for ByuL overall. But he's back on a 51 drones, and he's losing his bank, or it's still not a very impressive bank, so he's got to be careful thinking he can trade for a long period of time.
Yo, subtle move there out of aLive, by the way. Really love it. He pulled so many Vikings away from the 5 he left so that he wouldn't have, like, crazy parasitic bombs or abducts going off there. Really nice way to make sure that didn't get too out of hand. Now, you mentioned the bottom right. He's still getting away with his base pretty well. That's where he's dropping all the mules. He's taking the top middle base, too. I mean, this is the most extreme macro game we've ever seen, I think, on this map pool so far. And this has been so awesome to watch. Marco, 7 Vikings at a time in production. Not something anything close to common in StarCraft 2 TvZ.
Goes from 20 to 27 real quick. 27 Vikings might even be like... So here's the problem, right? Like, the best splash damage that aLive has, or the only splash damage really, is technically like an EMP. If you want to count it, right? That's not a lot. Maybe a Secret Missile or 2, but he only has 2 Ravens. ByuL has many different forms. He has blinding, or parasitic bomb and infestors, and if he could, you know, maybe add on a couple of Ravagers, that's another type of splash.
I do want to point, like, this has been so essential. We've always talked about how ghosts are so necessary to deal with this, but he's got to be so careful. One fungal growth could end his life. He's put so much of his investment into those Vikings.
The ghost came from behind and EMP'd the infestors. That's why he felt so confident doing that. They missed one of them, though, so you're right. Like, that could have been... You think you got all the infestors, and you missed 2, and suddenly it's game over. So my point that I brought up the splash, is not to say, like, one's better than the other, because I don't think that it is. It's that the Vikings are less about numbers and more about positioning. So the fact that they aren't all clumped up is already a lot better than it could be.
There you go. The splits are good. He's not going to lose all the Vikings to this, but that's so much damage done. SCVs absolutely have to be pulled to repair this. I was going to mention, too, that one port medevac's been dry for so long, so a lot of the ghosts that have been taking damage from a splash on the tanks and Broodlings hitting them, these ghosts need to be healed up pretty badly.
Yeah, there's only one medevac. That's pretty funny.
Like killing the medevac and making a new one would actually be totally worth it at this point. We got 3 command centers coming down. I think for aLive, he's thinking more about making more orbitals so he can get rid of SCVs and rely more on mules for mining. Because at this point, SCVs are just hurting. Get rid of the supply. Make room for the army.
Yeah, that is a good idea. Sometimes it backfires, though, especially like in tighter games like this where there is action going down, because suddenly you realize maybe 1200 minerals would have been nice for like a marine emergency or something like that. But it's still going on. Like, no one's really broken each other yet. It just seems like ByuL's starting to take better engagements, but the resources lost is still very, very even.
Liberating gets 7 drone kills, not bad.
Not bad, yeah. Again, like ByuL's at the same like fear. Like, if at any point they think they have a bank and they try and remax, and it's like, oh shit, like could be the point that they lose. And that happens to everyone, even the pro gamers. This is also, we've been talking about, a very rare game. Even on Proxima, which you would think, like, isn't this a big map? Does this happen often? No, it doesn't. Not at all. This is the first time we've seen it in the new map pool. This might be something that they're a little out of practice for, and might make such mistakes like that. But so far, not any true game-breaking mistakes from either player.
Yo, I didn't consider this either. There's still harassment going around the sides of the map, by the way. There's actually a Marine Marauder hit squad here and there, but one of the things I'm actually loving about these turret lines, I talked about before how this is meant to keep the Corruptors from getting out of hand. It's also going to provide detection. Infestors are really not able to get close enough to drop those fungals, even if they're able to, because the second the Ghost sees them, they're going to run out for EMPs.
That's a good point.
Ravens also have full energy, by the way. Looking for some auto turrets, looking for some Seeker missiles.
Investors. Very nicely done. I don't know about this ByuL, but he does get a parasitic swarm on top of the Vikings, but the snipes.
So many Seeker missiles. All the Broodlords disappear.
He can't actually. Wait, how many tanks are there? There's like 4. No, there's more tanks. I don't know though. Like an overwhelming ground army of Baneling, oddly enough, could be like kind of scary if it goes ever too far forward or the tanks ever die willy-nilly. But not at that point quite yet. ByuL needs to start thinking of solutions, I guess, as he does lose out on his air to ground. He just has air now. It's like Corruptors do a great job versus the Vikings, but then what?
Well, so that's where Ghosts come into play. They can auto attack, they can snipe, there's missile turrets aplenty, and at this point, like, both players have a pretty good bank, but aLive's had to exhaust his a little bit more. So ByuL, if he loses all those Corruptors, if he dives in crazy and maliciously, like, he can actually remake those. I'm not too worried about it, but it is worth noting that while he's got a bank, his income's being completely cut out from under him. Again, top left base was killed, this base being attacked once again. Nobody's really starving just yet, but aLive is doing a great job putting pressure on a ByuL.
Yeah, this use of bio is much better than having them like be, you know, AI'd forward and having to try and control them versus the fungals and whatever that was happening before we decided to use them to attack the bases. That was a lot better. That's also where, again, like the extra 3-4 command centers could have been 1,200 minerals worth of Marines, and suddenly there's more of those attacks, but instead there's more orbitals. He did get rid of a couple SCVs, just, you know, he didn't care that they died. He's on 35, that's okay with the amount of mules he has. But these Lings are fully upgraded, 3 adrenal glands, and if he just had 10 more, all those tanks would have been slaughtered. So these are not bad ideas, and now of course he knows about that base. He's trying to get on top of the Ghost with the Banelings! The tanks with the focus fire, they end up focus firing most of the Banelings, at least enough of them. Oh, maybe not.
The Banelings are not a choice. Ghosts aren't light units. I mean, I guess the splash damage is splash damage, right?
Yeah, you can't really split the Ghost, especially with everything else going on, so that's probably what he was thinking.
Yeah, but he just cloaks him and walks away, like, as we see.
He still lost most of them, though. Like, 17 SCVs have gone down, or Ghosts, rather.
And aLive's army supply has tanked. His overall supply has tanked. So this is a really bad position for aLive. Replacing this isn't going to be so easy, but he's going back into bio now. But at the same time, ByuL's going into Ultra, so base being driven off. aLive can still mine from the bottom right. He's still mining from the top center, but I'm really worried because I don't think his reinforcements are going to deal with Ultralisks.
He might not even be able to deal with the Lings, man. Another base goes down, and that is a fairly important base. Now ByuL's really... Well, actually, he was never mining fully from this base, and that's really important. Only the gas is mined out, so he is still okay on the mining. But he's running out of that bank, now down into the like 1,000 instead of 2,000. Corvus to leave, but I think that ByuL's remax would be just too good. aLive, he never got enough bases, he never got enough of a bank, and he never took good enough engagements. What a game! I don't even. I'm not even sure. Like, there's sometimes you watch those games and you're like, wow, the Ghosts are totally imbalanced. Like, there's no way that ByuL would have ever won. But then you watch this one and you're like, actually, they weren't that great.
Like, early beta days, stuff like that. But all right, so starting to get overrun a little bit. This kind of sucks. Production hasn't quite kicked in yet. He's still running away from the Corruptors. GG. ByuL takes the series 2-0. But my God, what a series that was.
Whoops. So much just for no reason. Yeah, that was a crazy game, but like, ByuL was too good, man. ByuL was really good.
I can't begin to express, like, Zombie and I cast more games of StarCraft than anybody out there, and it's really easy to become bored and complacent, or just like you get excited about games legitimately, but you see the same stuff over and over. That was such a very different, very unique, such a refreshing, cool game. I'm really sad that aLive lost, but this, like, I want to make a show match with these two. I don't want to invite them back, like best of 9 or something. That was so cool. It was so good.
And then all aLive does is a 2-1-1.
Yeah, I know they'll ruin it. Yo, I'll tell you what, aLive, he was already in my heart as like a really good champ player. Certainly locked it down. But you know what? It's almost better that ByuL won, because this means we got a TvZ finals, folks. Gumio versus ByuL, best of 5 coming up. We're going to go to a commercial break before we get into that. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed the game half as much as I did, and we'll see you soon.